Welcome to the Answer is Yes podcast, where we interview some of the most interesting people that have said yes to opportunities in their life. We hope that through these stories, you can learn to create your own destiny by saying yes along the way. Join us as we explore the new series covering topics such as passion, integrity, and hard work. I'm your host, Jim Riley, and I hope you enjoy these interviews as much as I do. I believe that everyone has an important message worth hearing. Hello and welcome to the show. Thanks for tuning in. You know, it's been a great December for me heading into January. And, I've been thinking a lot about this the time of year that everybody writes out their goals and their achievements and things like that. And I think that's a year-round activity. We should always be striving for the next level and chasing our dreams. One thing that really resonated with me recently, and we've done a great job as a family to chase after our goals and achieve a lot of them, is that once you get there, it takes a lot of work to maintain that. And don't forget, just because you've achieved your goal, that it doesn't require maintenance and work to maintain that and continue living in that direction. And what I love about my guest that I have on today is that not only did she achieve a goal in one area and the next, and now the third, she's constantly pursuing her success in her law practice. So I've got Lorraine on the line. Good morning. How are you today?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on today. Such a pleasure.
It's our pleasure to have you. I read your bio and I thought I really have to have Lorraine on my show because the way it reads is, entrepreneur, mom, former Ford model. And if you're listening, you don't know what that means. You've got to be at the top of your game to be a Ford model. And then you started a law practice. I mean, that's a pretty big array of things that you've accomplished in your life.
Yes. Well, thank you. Goodness. Thank you so much. As are you. My goodness. You're quite an incredible entrepreneur yourself. So thank you for having me on.
It's a pleasure. It comes from saying yes to things and opportunities in our lives. But would you mind, Lorraine, walking us back a little bit, kind of when your career started, whether that was as an athlete or a model first, whatever it was. But we'd love to hear some background on you because ultimately you started your own law practice in a male-dominant industry in Los Angeles. So please tell us about your background.
Sure, certainly. All right. Well, I was quite excelling in the volleyball, soccer, and also a little bit in basketball, but definitely more volleyball, soccer as growing up, high school, university. I played at the provincial level and a regional level for volleyball, and was quite competitive on a select team for soccer. So certainly understand that team dynamic and the leadership that's required, the strong leadership required and strong scheduling that's required in order to make a team successful. So with that background, I was scouted and signed with Ford Models. I traveled internationally, working with a lot of brands, did a ton of work in the commercial space as well as editorial print, got to work in a number of wonderful fashion houses, including Betsy Johnson. And I still model, but much less, of course, because my attention turned to a law degree as I was traveling internationally, dealing with a guy with a badge and a gun constantly. I was realizing how much a need there is for advocacy for artists as they are, converging in international markets. And you don't understand, of course, the laws of that particular country, but one thing is a commonality, and that is having to, get all the appropriate paperwork in order to do your work, protect your art, and really operate. So it's not just about having your management team or your agent; it's also about having your A team in terms of your lawyer with you as well, with you and by your side. So this really inspired a lot of my work in helping to build this firm, because there really wasn't one, and also geared toward empowering and helping female advocates. A lot of artists, of course, are women. There's incredible female basketball stars that are coming up in the worldwide leagues, entering in the WNBA. There are incredible females as well. Angel City and coming in to work in female soccer leagues as well, and as well as men. And I just felt that there should be, so a more gender balance there. And so building a very female dominant law firm that is focused on sports, entertainment, and really understanding the international markets that we are operating in was critical. So we grew quickly. We consistently won law firm 500 awards over and over again, grew 360%, I think, in just a few years. And got to the top in terms of Century City Bar Awards, and continue to do our work in serving top tier, very, very top tier, professionals in the sports and entertainment arena. So I felt that a voice needed to be there, and there was a hole to fill. And there certainly was, as you can see with the success of the firm. But it's not just me, it's all about the team. Mm-hmm. I would never have gotten where I was without all of my team leaders, my managers, my chiefs of operations, my directors of admin, and of course, our team outreach as well. So that's a little bit of my story.
I appreciate that. And you've touched on so many things, which I'm sure are all very, very in-depth. Maybe you can just touch on a few highlights. As an athlete and playing at the level that you played, you develop a skill set that I believe carries on throughout your life. Could you talk about some of those things that transitioned from your athletic life into your modeling, perhaps? And really what I mean by that is I always say surfers make better CEOs, because you make split-second decisions on a wave, especially a big wave surfer, and you live with those consequences. But as that athlete, you're ready to perform at any level and deal with those consequences. I feel it's probably very much the same transitioning from your sports background into your modeling agency and the tough schedule and all those other things. Maybe you can talk about that a little bit.
Sure, certainly. I think from the sports background, I would say that it's about the team members to getting to the goal of success. Yeah. It's about the formulas and the calculus behind that split second moment. So you do have a moment to make a decision, especially as a team lead on that team or a captain on that team. But you go into it with that perseverance, all those months and months of training up to it, where you understand the patterns, you understand the options that are available to you, and then you can help work with your teammates to be able to drive to success, and that perseverance, that never going to give up, is helped so much by the camaraderie of the team. It's so hard to have one single mental agility, whereas if you have this whole group behind you, what you can do. So I think that for me, my background in sports was definitely, drove that home. And I would, all the sports I was involved with is all team sports. Yeah. That's not to say that you are not going to be successful in business as well, and you are engaging in a sport that is not, team oriented, but you're self oriented. But I think there was a Harvard Review study that went out a few years back that looked at female CEOs and what was common among them, and what did they do, and team sports, not just any sport, but specifically team sports, was the driving home there that they were all involved with. And I think that that carryover, the patterns and the practices, and that sort of the muscle memory we bring, but not just muscle memory of working on your own, but muscle memory in remembering what team members you're going to be tag teaming with in order to achieve that particular goal or get to that particular milestone. And I would say that no team is operating without a plan that goes beyond weeks. It's months, it's a year out. It's what we're going to look like in a year, and then or 2 years, and then backtracking how we're going to get there and how we're going to get there together. So and then I would say it is cutthroat, it's cutthroat, and it's that idea that you just do not let your team members down, and that loyalty, that faith in your team members, that trust in your team members, and when mistakes happen, we deal with them and we move forward. You're left with the consequences, and you move forward. And certainly in business, I've had many transitions over the last 11 years, and your ability to transition, your ability to find sometimes new team members that have to be brought in, swap outs that you have to be done, you're that you can do that, you can still succeed even though there will be change. And I've never really been someone that has loved change, I got to tell you. Even though I've been making many moves in my life, it gives me great anxiety. I have to deal with a lot on the mental side. I've not been a big person in meditation, but I have been a big person about prayer. I'm a Christian. I pray a lot, so that it's that moment of like mental clarity. Where you got to bring yourself back to zero again, and you can just, okay, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to stop, wound it up, and so much noise around all those wound ups. And so, kind of charting the path of, okay, let's back up for a second. Let's chart this out. Let's make a plan. Let's make choices. Let's execute. And who we're going to be executing with is, I think, some serious mental gymnastics that goes through. And I think for me, having the A team around you on your management side is really important, not just in-house with your team, but out-house as well. I think some of the most successful entrepreneurs on the planet have coaches. I have coaches. I have people that advise me from outside on a regular basis so that I'm getting out of my head and I seek new ideas on that, new people on that. It's not always the same. It shouldn't always be the same. Pushing yourself into circles that you may not necessarily, have thought you're ready for, even new circles of people, and be ready for failure too. And that's and it's more about learning how not to have that failure again. And some of the failures can feel fatal. They can feel they can even, maybe even people will tell you you're failing now. It's all going to be over. You might as well throw in the towel. And people that are very, very close to you, people you trust. I think that again, the athlete that never gives up, the athlete that knows that they are worthy of success, is that driving force that just doesn't go away. And I think you need that. Some people, I think there's some very, very famous coaches out there that talk about in their books of, you need to identify what is keeping you going. What is that? What is that driving force? I always find it really hard to articulate that. I feel that it's more of something that's developed at a young age, and I definitely think sports has a lot to do with it. For me, I would say that in sports you also can come across teams that don't operate well, that maybe you play against, and maybe there are like certain bullies on that team, or you can observe how you could have one or two star players, but they're not working well together. And it makes it hard to actually play against that team. And your team can, be even sort of by like trying to even, do a proper match with that other team. So I think that, it's good examples of how you do not want to be leading your life. It's hard to, it's kind of a Machiavellian type perspective, but it's hard to, it's hard to, build around one or two. It's better to be building as a collective and as a team, but a strong visionary that is well coached and ready and willing to accept change, even though it may take some time to get there, a reasonable time anyway. I think is a good layup for a good layup for success.
There's so many things that you've just said that could be unpacked in hours worth of shows, but a few things that really resonated with me. I'd worked with a softball player. She was going to the Olympics in 2024. They canceled the sport. due to whatever COVID, and her heart was broken because she knew she would make it in 2028 because of her age and growing